Ellen has always had a heart for working with young children. She was a nanny for children, infant to 5 years old, before she became a teacher for children on the spectrum. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, and now, like Sandra, is a home visitor. She works part-time at Help Me Grow in Erie County. Ellen is proudly married to an Ecuadorian, and together they have 2 children. Sweet yet feisty Annie is 6 years old and in first grade, and caring and funny Enzo is 4 years old. They also have 2 dogs, Hudson and Snoopy. I love that name. Ellen's story is personal and vulnerable, and like me, I am sure that there are many other mothers in the room that will relate. It is a topic that we need to be talking more about, and I am so honored to be able to introduce Ellen Chavez to share her story with you today. Let's welcome Ellen to the stage.
Six years ago, I was preparing for the amazing birth experience I had always dreamed about. I knew this baby inside me so well. Every move, how she reacted to the foods I ate, and the way she responded to the sound of my voice. I was imagining what she would look like, feel like, and what her cries would sound like. I knew for a long time that I wanted a baby. And I wanted that moment of meeting her to be perfect. After many long, painful, and useless hours that my body refused to work with me, I remember the doctor telling me the baby's heart rate had dropped. And the next thing I knew, I was being wheeled into an operating room. I was devastated. And at the same time, extremely concerned for my baby. The last thing I remember hearing was, well, we're gonna have to knock her out. Then I opened my eyes in an extremely loud, bright, and freezing room. I felt cold, weak, and exhausted. I then realized I was half naked as a nurse quickly moved my gown and placed a baby on my chest. I remember looking down at her thinking, that's right, I was pregnant, and this must be my baby. Not quite the picture-perfect moment I had dreamed of. I quickly felt guilt and shame for those thoughts, but I also felt sad and confused. There was a really big disconnect for me, and maybe for my Annie too. Fast forward to a very short 6 weeks later, I had to leave my beautiful Annie with my amazing husband, Gustavo, who was working second shift, so I could return to my first shift teaching job. We had no other options if we wanted to be able to keep food on our table, because I had already spent 3 weeks with no pay. I remember feeling the pain inside my body as I walked into my job hating that I was there and not home with my Annie. And I realized one night, as Annie screamed and screamed and screamed, that I was utterly alone. And this was only the beginning. The next months were truly terrifying. The worst night was when my husband, Gustavo, handed Annie to me and asked me to feed her. I told him no. He looked at me and said, "What?" I looked him in the eyes and I said, "I told you no. I don't want to feed her. You do it." Fortunately, I snapped out of this quick moment of a mental break and I did feed her. But this was the beginning of my husband realizing I was not okay. After that day, I felt lost, guilty, and confused. I just kept crying and thought this would never get better. I continuously told my husband, I'm a horrible mother. I would call him crying every day he was at work. And in one desperate time when I couldn't reach him, I called my cousin who lived in South Carolina. I was sobbing. I told her, the baby won't stop screaming. She's not sick, and I have tried everything to try to calm her. I don't know what to do. I realized in that very moment that this is how a person shakes their own baby. Thankfully, I did not do this. But I felt the anger inside my body, and every nerve was on fire, telling me to do something as Annie continued to scream and seemed to find no comfort in me or anything that I tried. My cousin said, "Just put her down in her crib and walk away to give yourself a break." I am so thankful she answered her phone that day and for the words that she spoke to me. She let me know that it was okay to put her down in a safe place and to breathe. Had she not answered her phone, I'm not sure how I would have handled the next minutes of my baby's screams. Postpartum depression is a lonely place to be. And with no supports, a woman can be lost in her own despair, unable to properly care for her baby. My cousin was my saving grace in a very dark and lonely moment. She picked up her phone, and she was there for me. Today, as a home visitor, I get to be there for other new mothers and fathers in the same way that my cousin was there for me almost 6 years ago. Home visiting is for women and families in poverty who are giving birth with many more challenges, barriers, and at times even less support than I had. I am a listening ear to validate and to encourage and to help mothers and fathers find joyful moments with their new baby, when the world around them has created obstacles and endless amounts of stress. Making the difference for a mother to know they can pick up the phone, or knowing that I will be back every week to see them and their baby. A little bit off script, 2 weeks ago, I had a father actually tell me that he got so frustrated with his baby, and he remembered that he needed to take a break, and he asked his girlfriend to take the baby. I was so proud of him and told him, "It's amazing that you made that choice. Our babies need us, but we are human, and we feel that pain inside of us as they cry, and it's so important that they give that baby to someone else." This is why my work as a home visitor is crucial. New motherhood is a joy and a blessing, as fatherhood is too, but it is also hard, stressful, and quickly can become overwhelming. Thank you.